Welcome to June. I have an insane pile of possibilities. Who's surprised? So, welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and Fireball is over there grumbling. Fireball. Well, it's okay. We are inside today because it is the ick outside. It is very muggy, it's very hot, and rain is predicted here shortly. So, see if I can get through this before the thunder and lightning arrive. Okay. There are all kinds of readathons going on in June. I have 2 buddy reads, 1 read along, and then just the general stuff I want to read or that is in process. It shall be a very interesting reading month. That's all I can say. So let's do the buddy reads first. I am buddy reading with Alma this month, and we're reading for her year-long readathon. And the prompt for June is historical fiction set in World War I or World War II. And because it's Alma's readathon, I let her choose, and Alma picked The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel. I have this on reserve at the library. It will be here right at the end of May, beginning of June. So by the time I read it, I will have a physical copy of it. But I can read you the description from my Kindle. Eve Traub Abrams, a semi-retired librarian in Florida, is shelving books when her eyes lock on a photograph in the New York Times. She freezes. It's an image of the book she hasn't seen in more than 60 years, a book she recognizes as the Book of Lost Names. The accompanying article discusses the looting of libraries by the Nazis across Europe during World War II, an experience Eva remembers well, and the search to reunite people with the texts taken from them so long ago. The book and the photograph, an 18th century religious text thought to have been taken from France in the waning days of the war, is one of the most fascinating cases. Now housed in Berlin's Zentrale und Landesbibliothek library, I'm sorry, I know I butchered the German. It appears to contain some sort of code, but researchers don't know where it came from or what the code means. Only Eva holds the answer, but does she have the strength to revisit old memories? As a graduate student in 1942, Eva was forced to flee Paris and find refuge in the small mountain town in the Free Zone, where she began forging identity documents for Jewish children fleeing to neutral Switzerland. But erasing people comes with a price, and along with a mysterious, handsome forger named Remy, Eva decides she must find a way to preserve the real names of the children who are too young to remember who they really are. The records they keep in the Book of Lost Names will become even more vital when the resistance cell they work for is betrayed and Remy disappears. Dual timeline. Sounds like something I want to read. So Alma and I are going to read that. And Lindsay and I are going to start, we don't plan to finish in June, The Odyssey by Homer. This is the Robert Fagles translation. And this is a direct result of the travesty that is Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey film. And there are 24 books in The Odyssey. We're going to break those books up to go through June and July, which is 3 books a week. More than doable for both of us. And it's going to be enjoyable. We have both read it in high school. You know, it was 20 odd years ago for Lindsay. It is more than 4 decades for me. And I am so looking forward to this. Whoops. Oh, as you saw, I got this from my library bookshop. And other than, the former owner's name on the front cover, I'm assuming he was a high school student given the writing, and a little bit of wear on the bottom edges, probably from being shoved in a backpack. It's in perfect condition. Paid $1 for it. Perfectly happy. So, I look forward to this. I might possibly vlog it. We shall see. And there is one known read along that I'm participating with, and that is Anne's over at In Search of Wonder. I will link her announcement video down below. I will link Alma's readathon announcement video down below as well. And for Anne, that is How to Read a Book, the Classic Guide to Intelligent Reading by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. And it sounds fascinating. It was first published, I believe, in 1943. Double check. 1940. And there are 21 chapters. Book isn't super long. It's, 335 pages of reading. And it breaks it up nicely. It's talking about all kinds of different texts from different eras. And I'm deeply looking forward to what I know is going to be an intellectually challenging and informative read. So it's appropriate. I'm reading it when I'm going back to the Odyssey for the first time in 40 years. So, okay, those are all the read-along stuff, readathon stuff. Okay, so now let's do readathon books. So, you know how I said I wasn't going to, necessarily participate in readathons? Yeah, apparently I threw that out the window. So, in that vein, there is the Red, White, and June readathon happening in June. There is the picnic readathon for the June birthdays. And there is June on the Range. I will link announcement videos for all of those readathons in the description box. And there's also Big Book Summer, but Big Book Summer lasts June through August. So obviously the Odyssey will count as a Big Book Summer. Other books in this list will count as Big Book Summer as well. They just have to be over 400 pages to count for Big Book Summer. So, that is generally not a problem for me. So I'm not going to call the big books out in particular, but I am going to... Is this the one I'm on? It is not. Hang on. This is the wrong book. Okay, crisis averted. I found the right book, and along the way I found a bunch of other books that will fit other prompts. So, okay, the third and final book is Sup with the Devil. This one is set in 1774. Spring begins uncertainly to Boston as the entire city awaits the Crown's response to the infamous Tea Party. Urged on by the Sons of Liberty, Abigail's husband, John, militias form and arm themselves. But when a Harvard loyalist is murdered, the only side Abigail finds herself on is the side of justice. After an attempt is made on the life of her scholarly young nephew, Horace, Abigail travels to Harvard to investigate. A mysterious woman had hired Horace to translate some Arabic, only to leave him disoriented and frightened, and at the mercy of her henchmen. But Horace survived, with a tale of pirate treasure. While Abigail and Horace try to unravel the strange circumstances, one of his fellow students, a young man loyal to the king, is murdered. And though the Sons of Liberty are desperate to find the rumored gold, Abigail is more interested in the truth. For the devil's treasure comes with a curse that could bring down anyone, regardless of where his or her allegiance lies. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with the Bookmobile Cat mystery series. I have 2 books left in the series as it stands right now. The next book is being published this year, so I need to catch up. So I am at No Paw to Stand On. This is the 12th book in the series. I don't need to say anything else. I have started it. I'm not going to lie. I'm 100 pages in and thoroughly entranced, but just haven't sat down to finish it. Is not the fault of the book. I'll read you the tagline on the back. There is no rest for the whiskered librarian, Minnie Hamilton, and her rescue. Minnie is not whiskered. There is no rest for the whiskered, as librarian Minnie Hamilton and her rescue cat Eddie have to investigate a poisoning and a murder in this installment of the national best-selling Bookmobile Cat mystery series. As you know, I love that series. Okay. Next up is the second book in the American Revolution series by Newt Gingrich and William Force Chen. This is Valley Forge. And I loved the first book, which was To Try Men's Souls. It is December. It's really the winter of 1777 and 1778. That's all I need to know. I will read you the description. It's the winter of 1777, and Washington's battered, demoralized army retreats from Philadelphia. Arriving at Valley Forge, they discover their repeated requests for a stockpile of food, winter clothing, and building tools have been ignored by Congress. Sound familiar? With no other options available, the men settle down for a season of agony. For weeks, the dwindling army freezes under tents in the bitter cold. Food runs out. Disease festers. The men are on the point of collapse. While in Philadelphia, the British, joined by Alan Van Dorn, the loyalist brother of the dead patriot Jonathan Van Dorn, who was the protagonist in the first book, live in luxury. In spite of the suffering and deceit, Washington endures all. Joined at last by a volunteer from Germany, Baron Friedrich von Steuben. With precious few supplies and even less time, von Steuben begins the hard task of recasting the army as a professional fighting force capable of facing the British head-on. Something it has never accomplished before, and in the process, changes the course of history. I am definitely reading this. There's no question about it. Also, second in a series, and I've taken my time with this because I'm dreading the end of it, is A Marked Man by Barbara Hamilton. Abigail Adams is our protagonist. This one takes place 1774. So, right before the revolution takes place. Abigail is definitely our heroine. 10 weeks after the Boston Tea Party, Abigail Adams, wife of attorney John Adams, who is deeply involved with the Sons of Liberty, a secret organization opposing the crown, remains as committed to the cause as her husband. And the arrest of one of the sons comes as a shock to both of them. Because it isn't for treason, it's for murder. I've read this one. Hang on. I've read this one. I'm on book 3. Let me go get it. Okay, crisis averted. I found the right book, and along the way I found a bunch of other books that will fit other prompts. So, okay, the third and final book is Sup with the Devil. This one is set in 1774. Spring begins uncertainly to Boston as the entire city awaits the crown's response to the infamous Tea Party. Urged on by the Sons of Liberty, Abigail's husband, John, militias form and arm themselves. But when a Harvard loyalist is murdered, the only side Abigail finds herself on is the side of justice. After an attempt is made on the life of her scholarly young nephew, Horace, Abigail travels to Harvard to investigate. A mysterious woman had hired Horace to translate some Arabic, only to leave him disoriented and frightened, and at the mercy of her henchmen. But Horace survived, with a tale of pirate treasure. While Abigail and Horace try to unravel the strange circumstances, one of his fellow students, a young man loyal to the king, is murdered. And though the Sons of Liberty are desperate to find the rumored gold, Abigail is more interested in the truth. For the devil's treasure comes with a curse that could bring down anyone, regardless of where his or her allegiance lies. Okay, next up is a book available in Kindle Unlimited. I own the other two in the series. I don't, however, own the first. So, that is A Spark of Revolution by Megan Soja. And this is the Harbor of Spies, book 1. A spark ignites a flame that can burn down everything they hold dear. Contrary to her pen name, Patience Abbott has long felt unsettled and anxious to leave behind her painful memories in England for a fresh start in America. But her new life isn't quite what she expected. And as tensions grow in her new home of Boston, so does the distance between Patience and her estranged father. So when Josiah Wagner walks into her life, it finally feels like she's not alone. If only his patriotic leanings didn't put him at odds with her father's loyalties. Josiah Wagner has spent his life yearning for a true home and family, something he works toward each day, forging tools as a blacksmith and each night forging plans with the Sons of Liberty. But when the destruction of the tea in Boston Harbor lights the spark of revolution, Josiah finds himself drawn into its tumultuous wake, pulling the woman he loves along with him. As tensions mount, will their search for belonging lead to each other, or will the obstacles between them be too great to overcome? In a land on the brink of war, can they find the home they seek in the one who calls him his own? So, I've never read this author before. The book is well reviewed, so we shall see what I think. Okay. What next? Let's continue on the American Revolution theme. Stop. This was a soft DNF last year or the year before. That is Dear George, Dear Mary by Mary Calvi. This is the love story of George Washington and his first love. And it is partially epistolary. And I read the description in the upcoming video on American Revolution books. So if you want more details, it's in there. I will read you the quote on the back from George Washington. The letters in here are actual letters from George and Mary. Love is said to be an involuntary passion, and it is. Therefore, contended that it cannot be revisited. I really hope I'm in the mood for it this time. If not, it goes in the unhaul pile. I have 2 potential nonfictions. I say potential. They go together like peas in a pod. The first is Dearest Friend by Lynn Withy, Abigail Adams. I read this description too in the same video. And the other one goes very well, and that is John Adams by David McCullough. If I start the John Adams book, it will be continued throughout July because this one is well over 600 pages. and it is one I will take my considerable time with. So those are potential, I stress potential nonfiction. If I'm in the mood, I will pick one of them up, but we shall see. Okay. Western. June on the Range. It is very simple. Read one Western book. They don't even specify, it has to be set in the Old West. Just one Western book. And while I was looking for the third book in the Abigail Adams series, I found a bunch in my bookcase I had forgotten I had, in addition to what I had already pulled. So let's talk about those briefly. But this, let me make sure this is the second book, which is the one I'm on. I believe it is. This is Death Where the Bad Rocks Live by C.M. Wendelboe. This is set on a reservation in South Dakota. It is a contemporary reservation police procedural. Best description I have for it. I'll read you the back real briefly. In Badlands National Park, which is gorgeous, by the way, there is a desolate area the Lakota refer to as the Stronghold. General Custer called it Hell on Earth. During World War II, the Army Air Corps used it as a bombing range. At the end of the war, many unexploded ordnance were swallowed up in its sweltering sands. But that's not all that's buried there. 65 years after the war, the Sioux tribe has contracted an ordnance removal company to defuse any remaining ammunition in the stronghold. When the company finds a human arm near a live bomb, Tano and the tribal police are called to investigate. As the body is exhumed, 2 more are discovered. The remains are close together, but the murders were decades apart, and the story behind them is about to blow up. I love his writing. I love the descriptions of South Dakota. My favorite place on earth. So, and I pulled Texas. Texas definitely qualifies as a big book. Summer. I am on page 865, and there are a total of 1,429. So, if I finish it, even the portion I have left, it alone qualifies as big book summer. So, it is by James Michener. And if you're familiar with Michener's writing, it is a series, much like Edward Rutherford, contiguous stories. Michener's are related by geography, whereas Rutherford's are related by familial lines. So they make for very interesting reading. Okay. Now, I did pull some Western mass markets that have been sitting on my shelves for a while. I'm not going to talk about any of them in detail, but this is Mexican Hat by Michael McGarity. This is set in Arizona. Nope, New Mexico. This is James Doss, Dead Soul. This one is set in Colorado, I believe. Nope, New Mexico. Batting 1,000 here, aren't I? This is The Dreamstalker by Margaret Cole. If memory serves, this is Wyoming. And this is the first in the series. Of course, they don't put a series number in. Anyway, this is Sunrise Canyon by Janet Daly, and this one is set in Arizona. None of these will be challenging reads. 3 of them are cozies. 1 of them is a Western romance. All qualify very well for June on the Range. And now 2 books I know for sure I'm reading. Let's do this one first. This is The Secret of Southern Charm by Christy Woodson Harvey. This is the second book in the Peachtree Bluff series. And I have to know because the first book ended on a cliffhanger. Nothing was resolved. Nothing. So I will read you the back. After finding out her military husband is missing in action, middle sister Sloane's world crumbles as her worst nightmares come true. She can barely climb out of bed, much less summon the strength to be the parent her children deserve. Her mother, Ainsley, provides a much-needed respite as she puts her personal life on hold to help Sloane and her grandchildren wade through their new grief-stricken lives. But between caring for her own aging mother, her daughter, and her grandchildren, Ainsley's private worry is that secrets from her past will come to light. But when Sloane's sisters, Caroline and Emerson, remind her that no matter what, she promised her husband she would carry on for their young sons, Sloane finds support and courage she needs to chase her biggest dream and face her deepest fears. Taking a cue from her middle daughter, Ainsley takes her own leap of faith and realizes that, after all this time, she might finally be able to have it all. I am sure this is going to end with unresolved issues too, but I still need to know. Deeply, deeply need to know. Editing Tammy. I forgot a book for June on the Range. And I am shocked I forgot it because I'm so excited to A, have found it, and B, to read it. And that is Dragon Teeth by Michael Crichton. It's on Kindle Unlimited, which is how I'm reading it. I didn't know this book existed, and oh my stars, I am so excited. I'm going to read you the description from my Kindle. The year is 1876. Warring Indian tribes still populate America's western territories, even as lawless gold rush towns begin to mark the landscape. In much of the country, it is still illegal to espouse evolution. Against this backdrop, two monomaniacal paleontologists pillage the Wild West, hunting for dinosaur fossils, while surveilling, deceiving, and sabotaging each other in a rivalry that will come to be known as the Bone Wars. Into this treacherous territory plunges the arrogant and entitled William Johnson, a Yale student with more privilege than sense. Determined to survive the summer in the West to win a bet against his arch-rival, William has joined world-renowned paleontologist Othniel Charles Marsh on his latest expedition. But when the paranoid and secretive Marsh becomes convinced that William is spying for his nemesis, Edwin Drinker Cope, he abandons him in Cheyenne, Wyoming, a locus of crime and vice. William is forced to join forces with Cope and soon stumbles upon a discovery of historic proportions. With this extraordinary treasure, however, comes exceptional danger. And William's newfound resilience will be tested in his struggle to protect his cache, which pits him against some of the West's most notorious characters. How exciting does that sound? I cannot wait. Okay, back to regular scheduled programming. And the last book on the June pile of possibilities, and please don't be surprised if I end up reading it this month. It's May as I'm filming this, is The Earth's The Right Place for Love by Elizabeth Berg. It's a little tiny thing. And this is, in this version, 268 pages. The story of Nola and Arthur. I'm going to read you the flap. Nola McCullum is the most desirable girl in Arthur Moses' class, and he is thrilled when they become friends. But Arthur wants far more than friendship. Unfortunately, Nola has a crush on the wrong Moses, Arthur's older brother Frank, who is busy pursuing his own love interest and avoiding the boy's father, a veteran with a drinking problem and a penchant for studying fights. When a sudden tragedy rocks the family's world, Arthur struggles to come to terms with his grief. In the end, it is nature that helps him to understand how to go beyond loss and create a life of forgiveness and empathy. But what can he do about Nola, who seems confused about what she wants in life and is only half aware of the one who loves her most? I must know. I must know. I'm sure there are other books that are going to catch my attention. So, what's on your list? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. And I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.